you guys know, if you've been here, you know I love Christmas, right? You know that? I mean, I love Christmas. I'm so excited that it's Christmas, that it's here. I mean, I love everything about it. If you're around me maybe Tuesday or Thursday this week, you probably don't want to be around me because it's over and I'll be depressed. And Debbie will remind me, it's coming next year. It'll be back next year, Jimmy. But I love Christmas. You should know that. And when I was practicing law, well, actually, even before that, when I was growing up in Dublin, I mean, my family, 6 kids in our family, the whole row was filled. Every Christmas Eve in church, we were there like you are tonight. And, I mean, it was just a part of our tradition of what we did and who we are. And we continued that tradition as we became adults and got married and had our own child's son. We were always in church on Christmas Eve. And I can remember we were at a church in Macon, it's called Bible Methodist, and we would go dressed up, Christmas Eve, and Jim was finally old enough to stay in with us at this one particular Christmas Eve. He's about this tall. And so we were sitting in our usual place, like you guys like to sit in the same old places. We were sitting in the same place over on the side in the pews, and Jim insisted on this particular night that he wanted to sit on the end of the pew so that he would be next to the open aisle. And I said, okay, all right, well, let's sit there. I'm sitting here, Debbie's there, so Jim's here, and we're looking and watching, and Jim starts fiddling and talking, and he starts getting, just distracting, and I'm like, Jim, stop it now, stop. He's like, Daddy, I said, now, if you don't stop, I'm going to have to move you between your mother and me. Have you ever done that with your child? You do not want that to happen, right? And so he says, no, Daddy, I want to nod them. And I'm like, what? He says, Daddy, no, I don't want to move because I want to nod them. And I'm like, what in the world are you talking about? And some of the people were coming by for communion. He said, Daddy. When the people walked by, he was nodding at them. I finally figured it out. I'm like, Jim, come on. And so then it finally came time for us to receive communion, his first time Christmas Eve communion. And he didn't know what to do. And so we were walking up, and we would kneel at that time at the church. And as we got to the end of the row there, we still had a long ways to go to get to the altar. He just knelt right there. I mean, he was down on his knees, and I had to pick him up. His knees were bent. I had to walk up there, put him down. And I love Christmas Eve. I love Christmas altogether. And so I was wondering, why is it that so many people come to Christmas Eve services all around the world? Do you know tonight, all around the world, some of them have already had it last night, all around the world, millions upon millions upon millions of people are in church. Isn't that great? And I ask the question, why is that? Here's what I think. I believe that it's because Christmas is so deeply ingrained in us, in our culture, and who we are, that we want to be a part of it. It is a significant part of our population that appreciates this tradition every single year. And so they come on Christmas Eve. I'm so glad you do. It just makes it that so much better. We love the traditions of the church. We want to come and we want to hear the story of the birth of Christ. We want to read it. We want to hear it. We want to sing the same songs. Oh, little town of Bethlehem, all this away in the manger. We want to be connected to what a lot of us know to be the story of Jesus' birth. And so that's why we do it. We want to see the familiar green and red colors. We want to see the lights twinkling. We want to be a part of it. We want to eat even the same foods. How many of you have a special Christmas treat that you get every year somebody makes for you? I mean, we love it when that happens. We want to do a lot of things we normally do, like the white elephant gift, the goofy gift, the gag gift exchange. Some of us string popcorn. Some of us watch reruns of movies. It's a special thing. Some of us go to Waffle House on Christmas Eve because it's the only thing open. All of these rich traditions, they're part of who we are. And we want to be a part of that every single year. But here's what it is for me and you. It's the one time, maybe the one time, in our crazy, messed up, mixed up lives that we get a chance for just a few moments to connect with something real, something authentic, something holy. It's a great night to do that when we come together on Christmas Eve every single year. Being here allows us to make that connection. And here's what I believe too, because I've been there and you've been there. Even if you aren't a believer, even if you don't buy this story of Jesus' birth, and even if you don't think this whole idea of Christianity is really any good, here's what I'm going to say to you. If that's you in this room, listen to me. You want to believe it. You want to believe it. You want to know that there's more to life than what we've been experiencing. You want to know that there's more to life than what I have to drag through every single day. You want to know that there's hope and there's a purpose and there's meaning. And so even if you don't believe the story, you want to. You want to. You want to believe it's true, that Jesus really did come. You want to believe that there's something greater than you, something that is for you, that will support you and encourage you, that's watching over you, that's kind of guiding you through life. Here's what you and I want to know. We want to know that when we mess up, there's somebody out there calling out to us, come back home, I'll take you back. It's okay. We want that. We want to know that there's somebody who's out there greater than us, beyond us, that's loving us no matter what. That's what we all want, whether you're a believer or not. You want to believe it. I want to believe it. You want to know that this life isn't all there is. You want to know that there's hope. Everybody wants to know that. And more than anything else, even if you don't publicly admit it, you want to be connected to something greater than you. All of us do. You want to know more than anything else. You want that. You want it for yourself. You want it for your kids, even if you don't want it. You want it for your grandkids, your great-grandkids. And while somebody may have dragged you here tonight against your will, kicking and screaming, you want to believe this story. Now, if you're already a believer, you've come to celebrate and to remember, and you are so excited that you get the chance to remember and worship and celebrate and join in with others who believe it too. But if you aren't there yet, here's what I want to suggest to you for the next few minutes. We got about 20 minutes left. Here's what I want you to do. I want you just to sit back and let God love you. Have you ever done that? Maybe you're sitting there thinking, there's no way he could love me. There's no way this could be true. But what if just for a few minutes you just let God love you on this night, and you somehow connected with something greater than you tonight? What a gift that would be on Christmas. You know, Luke begins this story. He begins it not with once upon a time, not like it's some fairy tale. He begins it this way. He says, it came to pass in those days. In other words, he's saying, I'm about to tell you what really, really happened. This is it. Luke, the physician, investigated. He talked to the eyewitnesses. He understood that there were people that were alive that saw all of this, and he got it and wanted it to be accurate. And so he writes in that way. And he says, this is how it happened. And he references in the scripture, he references where God said it was going to happen a long time ago. And in Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6, here's what we read. For to us a child is born, written 800 years before Jesus was born. To us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. The people were waiting and waiting. For 400 years, there was nothing from God. And then all of a sudden, Christ comes. All of creation was waiting for this. The angels had been waiting for this, as Luke wrote about. And I wondered what that would have looked like in heaven, because here's what I believe. I believe that God, a long time ago, this was his plan. And I believe that God told the angels, listen, there's going to come a night when I'm going to send you to earth, and here's what you're going to do. You're going to announce the greatest news anybody has ever heard in the history of the world, and that's that I'm going to send my son down to be born in a manger, in a stable. And so the angels knew that. And can't you imagine the angels? I try to picture it in my mind. They're all like, okay, Lord, I want to do that. When can I do that? When are we going to go? And so it's almost like they're crowded up against the gate of heaven, and they're waiting to just go and be released. And they're so excited about it. You can see the fluttering of their wings and just the anticipation, the excitement. And God says, no, it's not time yet. Wait, just wait. And years go by, maybe thousands of years and thousands of years. And this great moment is just building up in the angels. And so finally they're like, Lord, can we go? Can we go? And he says, just a little longer, just a little longer. It's got to be the right time. And then one evening, he walks in, God walks in. And he says, tonight's the night. It's going to be tonight. I'm going to send one angel first. Gabriel, you're going to go first. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to go and I want you to announce it to the shepherds that I'm sending my son, Jesus Christ. Tell the shepherds this. Of all people, I'm choosing the shepherds for you to tell. And so Gabriel leaves, and all the rest know that it's just a moment or two before they get to go as well. And they're pushing against the gate, waiting. And so Gabriel goes, and it says the glory of the Lord shone around him, and he announces this good news to everybody. And then all of a sudden, God says, okay, now the rest of you go. And the gates fly open, and all of these angels fly to earth, and they light up the sky. It says a multitude of angels. Some estimates are that that's thousands upon thousands upon thousands of angels. Good news of great joy to all people. It's for you. And so God released them. And they came and they told the story. And so I asked the question, why should I believe that? Here's what I want to tell you quickly. I mean, why should I believe this? It's just a story in a book, right? Well, there's a reason you should believe it, because something significant happened that night. How do I know that? Because there are 4 books that were written about a carpenter from Nazareth. Do you know that back at that time, the only books that were written about people were written about generals, and they were written about emperors? There were no other books written about some itinerant pastor. None. But there are 4 written about Jesus Christ, born in a manger from Nazareth. I mean, it's unbelievable. So why was it written down? It was written down because something significant happened, something that caused people to do amazing things, something that caused the disciples to bank their lives on this truth. Jesus Christ, the Messiah, has come. And so they walked with him, and they spent 3 years in ministry with him. The disciples did, and others did, and they saw what he did and who he was, and they heard him talk. And then they watched him walk all the way to a cross. And they watched him die on a cross. And I wondered, what was it that seeing their leader, their Messiah, die on the cross? I mean, they had seen other people crucified before. A lot of people had seen crucifixion. And I wonder, was that the thing that gave them the courage to tell this story all around the world? And the answer is no, it wasn't that. That was horrific. We can't imagine what it was like. But what gave them the courage to risk everything was when they saw him alive afterwards. Not just him. Hundreds of other people, not just them, hundreds of other people saw him. The Bible tells us that. He's alive. He died, and he was buried, and he came back to life. That's what did it for him. And so why should I believe this? Why should I believe this? Because it was written down. It's a true story. Something significant happened. And here's the other one. Because others have believed it. Listen to me. Your parents, maybe your grandparents, maybe your great-grandparents, their great-grandparents, somebody down the line, they believed it and they trusted it and they put their life in it. And maybe somewhere along the line that was broken because of something that happened and you didn't get that. But listen, tonight you can get it. And you can pass it on to your children. You can give them that hope that all of us want. Because it's true. It happened. Christ came. That's why you're here. Whether you believe it or not. That's why you're here. Paul staked his life on it. The disciples staked their life on it. Millions upon millions of other people did. Why? Because it happened. And it's real. But there's a benefit to believing. And it's a simple benefit. Those who believe the Christmas story have found something they can't get anywhere else. And let me tell you what it is. Hope, meaning, and peace. Hope, meaning, and peace. Let me just suggest to you that there are people around the world tonight, maybe in this room, who would give anything for just a little bit of peace in their lives. The only place you're going to get that, my friends, is through Jesus Christ. And so there's a reason to believe this. The question that I would ask you tonight is, are you among those who believe it? Have you made that choice in your life? If not, listen, why not tonight? No pressure, no pushing, no nothing. I just want you to receive what so many people have received, and it's the greatest gift that God could ever give to you or anybody else. And that's the joy of having a relationship with his son, Jesus Christ.